We see with one love, one heart, one drum beating to a song they're singing us home. We dance in white light under the starlight. We are the sacred seeds of the sound of Om. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers.
Welcome to Unity of Little Rock on this fun-filled 4th of July weekend. Thanks for coming out and not being at the lake this morning. Whoever the lake is, Angela says, "Where's the lake?" Like it's Arkansas. Just point in a direction and there's a lake. So we are so happy that you're here this morning. And those of you, I think there's one other person online, and if whoever's watching later on our YouTube channel or our website, which is unityllittlerock.org, right?
Unity LR.
unitylr.org. I'm Reverend Beverly Pryor, and I'd like to open us in prayer. You would just close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Let's take a deep breath in and release that breath. The breath connects us mind, body, and spirit, and it connects us one with another in this moment. And we drop into the presence of this moment, knowing that each one of us is here today, both to be a blessing and to receive a blessing. We open our hearts, our minds in gratitude and appreciation. We simply say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. So Russ just reminded me that this is the first Sunday of the month, and you'll use that microphone, and he's going to
say happy birthday to the United States of America, 249 years.
Yes, birthday.
But we want to celebrate what you're celebrating. So who else has birthdays during this month? Maybe not 249 years, okay? But who has a birthday this? Chris, do you have a birthday this month? Or are you just waving at us as you come in? Little and Bo. Well, happy birthday, Chris. What day is your birthday on? The 22nd. Who else? Anyone else have a birthday this month?
Good morning, everybody. It's Michael Howell joining on Zoom. My birthday is 7/7, so it's tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And another celebration, I just got this news this morning. My grandmother passed away around 7:30. It's something we've been preparing for several years now. But she is pain-free and with Grandpa. So celebrating that today.
We're holding you and your family.
God bless.
In this time. And holding it as a celebration. Yes, sometimes we want to view what? Death is an end, but it's not an end. Okay. And if we want that life to continue on with us, we're the ones that carry those memories, that experience, those people with us. So we're going to celebrate what was most certainly worth celebrating in that life, and that probably was countless things that I will never have the awareness of, and even the family won't know all that there is to celebrate with that. We'll hold that. So,
I promise you, she is clapping and dancing and clicking her heels right now.
wonderful.
And the love never leaves us.
Thank you. So, any other celebrations for you? Yes.
My Aaron turns 3 on 7/11.
All right. Yeah. Well, happy birthday to Aaron. Any other? Yes, Angela.
My parents celebrated 42 years on the 2nd.
All right. 42 years. That's pretty good. I'm a measly 37. That was last month. My anniversary. Any other celebrations? Well, with that, then we'll hold and know for y'all, whatever it is that's in your lives that we're holding for you, and holding that intent, whether we know it or not, that celebration, that expression that you are, that we embrace you and love you and know that whatever it is in your life that is worth celebrating, it's because you are worth celebrating. So thank you. Thank you for being here and coming and to this celebration on a Sunday morning, right? To be with us, to share yourself, to share your energy. So with that, I will get off up here and let Reverend Beverly roll off.
I know. Reverend Russ, you know, you can't give a minister a microphone.
You cannot.
Appreciate you doing that, Russ. Okay. And so one thing we want to make sure that everyone knows about Unity of Little Rock is we are unapologetically inclusive. We love you. We love you and we want you to be a part of our community, regardless of your belief system, regardless of your preferences, regardless of if you got a bad mood today. That's okay. We're going to love you in all your forms and all your ways. And we want you to be a part of us. So Angela is going to come up and lead us in sharing together our vision and our mission statement.
Yes, good morning. So many of us were in the room when we came up with this together, and I actually really love that we say it every week to remind us why we're here, what we're doing. So can we say this vision together? A unified, diverse world, embracing divine connection and inclusion for all. So that is what we hope for the world, but you gotta take some action, right? And so our mission statement is how we get to that vision. So let's say this together. To shine with light, peace, and love by empowering and transforming lives through experiences of service and community.
Thank you, Angela. And so Dave, you're going to light the Christ candle for us today. We appreciate you for being spontaneous and willing to do that. If anybody wants to volunteer, we have a place. How do they get to that volunteer link? Is that on our website, Russ?
It is on our website.
Okay, it's at the top. So you just sign yourself up. And if not, we'll just ask you the morning of, like we did with Dave and with Astronus. Go ahead.
Very good. Well, thank you very much and welcome everybody. I'm not a minister, so I won't be talking very long, but I am a retired teacher, so watch out. But I want to welcome everybody again and remind us that for every being, the light of Christ shines through each one of us, illuminating the world around us. Each one of us is a keeper of the light, shining through us to bless each person and each situation we encounter. We light this candle as a symbol of the light of Christ, so that we may remember the light that shines in each one of us, no matter who we are.
Use the candle.
Yeah.
Of course, if our minister didn't show us what to do, I wouldn't know anyway. Anyway, well, thank you very much. And if you want to join me in the opening statement, there is only
One presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the ungood.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. And that opening statement is also the first of our 5 unity principles. Thank you. So is anybody here for the first time? The worst time.
No
It's
one's
not
here
going to be
for
the worst time, I promise. The first time, I know we handed out a couple of first time packets, but are you here for the first time?
I'm visiting since the first time since you've been here, but I'm familiar with Unity.
Okay, good.
Unity Church.
Okay.
I'm John.
Hi, John.
John Mize. John Mize. And Melissa, you've been here a few times, but we just got you a packet, so we're glad to have, if you're just visiting or if you're checking us out, we're always glad to have you join us. So Unity was founded on prayer, and we have oh, no one's seeing the slides on.
Is he fixed for that?
I don't know. Show the meeting and show.
There's a share. Yeah.
Well, I am shared.
But I wonder what you have up on your screen. Like if you click share, click it again and see which
It's this.
it is.
Mhm.
On.
So we are shared, and I don't know the answer. I apologize.
There we go. Back.
It's back on? Okay. Maybe it just went to sleep. I don't know.
Turn it back on again.
Thank you for your good intentions because you made it start working. That was our prayer, right? Thank you. Prayer works. And it truly does. And that's why Unity was founded on prayer. Our founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, were actually holding prayer circles to teach people how empowering prayer is and how to do it with the right embodiment of the Christ consciousness, and to know that prayers are to be answered. Because if you have something on your heart, if you have a desire, the solution is already there. So our intention is to get out of the challenge into the solution. We need to come from the answer and not try to get it from outside of ourselves. It comes, and Angela and I will be talking a little bit more about that today as we're talking about prayer. But let's take a moment right now and just know that if you put a request here in our prayer box, we hold that in prayer. You can also reach out to Silent Unity, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But someone is praying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at Silent Unity. They hold vigil with all the prayers that are submitted. And your prayer, when you send it in, stays in that energy, that prayer consciousness for 30 days. And it's amazing. There's no prayer that doesn't get answered when you submit it. Well, there's no prayer that doesn't get answered, full stop. But when we believe and we know with those in the consciousness who are at Silent Unity, then we see it, we look for it. And that's really the secret, right? We have to open our eyes and our heart and our mind. So let's just go into a moment of prayer. So whatever it is that you have that you would like to put into prayer consciousness, just send that from your heart right now. It doesn't have to be something you've written down or even something you've articulated. And it doesn't have to be an issue. It can be joy. You can pray in joy. So let's take that moment. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, let's just take a moment. Let's take a deep breath in together and release. Bringing us back to that moment of connection, one with another in this room, those online, and even those who join us later. We're bringing in that intention, that knowing, that consciousness of truth. We call on that truth. We know that there's no degree of prayer. There's none too difficult and there's none too small. But that power and that presence that we call Christ. We know that that's a living presence in each and every one of us. And together we say, it is done. It is for the highest and best for all concerned. We know that even if our prayer is for healing and wholeness, for wealth, prosperity, for relationship harmony, it doesn't matter. It's all part of the presence. It's all part of the power. It's all part of the good that we call God. And in this truth, we close by simply saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. There it is. Okay, so Esther's going to read the daily word for us today. He's gonna, heard myself gonna that. He's gonna read it.
That's like that's appropriate English, right? Southern English. Okay, so the daily word is possibilities. I open my mind to limitless possible. There are limits to what my mind can imagine. I may find a challenge too big to overcome or too complex to work through. In the past, I might have avoided such challenges, but today, I turn within for guidance. Within my inner sanctuary, I find infinite possibilities. For God, nothing is or ever could be impossible. As a spiritual being, I open my mind so these possibilities can enter my imagination. With spiritual sight, I begin to apprehend what is possible. I emerge from my prayer time filled with inspiration and clarity, ready to take the steps necessary to make my vision a reality. I return again and again to the limitless field of infinite potential, where I can claim divine ideas and know the presence and power of God is in and through all things. The verse is Luke chapter 1, verse 37. For nothing will be impossible with God. Let's say the affirmation. I open my mind
to
to limitless
possibilities. I think you need to get them to say that again.
Say
They
it
were all
again.
whispering.
Yeah.
We can't stand it all.
Okay, let's stand right here. Can everyone see, or those who?
Come over this.
There we go.
Everyone?
Yeah.
Everyone can see.
Yeah.
Possibilities. I
Open my mind
to
to limitless possibilities.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks online, for joining us. Thanks, Aster, for reading. That is going to be part of our talk today as well. So we're going to take a little time for meditation. We're going to listen to a song, then I'll lead you in a meditation, and then we'll listen to another song. So just so you're prepared for this little window, we'll listen to a song, I'll lead you in a meditation, and we'll listen to another song. So if you'd like to sit straight up, let your back be straight, uncross your hands and feet if you're comfortable with that. I like to leave my hands in an open and receptive mudra. If you have one that you use, feel free to do that. But let's just close our eyes and take a deep breath in and release. morning prayer. Karen Drucker. Also called Bible study.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free, as I continue walking in this mystery. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am kinder every moment, every day, and I'm more loving every moment, every day. I will surrender every moment, every day.
Let's take a deep breath in together and release that breath. And with that breath, we surrender to this moment. We relax into and allow our mind and our heart to open. Just allow your attention to come to your breath as it enters and releases through your nostrils. In between the breathing in and breathing out, there's a little gap, a little transition between the breath. Bring your attention to the gap. You're not holding your breath. You're not breathing in, you're not breathing out. It's just a little gap. Now in your mind's eye, begin to follow that breath as it moves deeper and deeper within to the very center of your being. Your secret place of the Most High. This is the very center of you. In this center, you know the truth of your being. You know who you are and who you've come to be. All awareness and understanding are within. You know that you are love. You know that you are joy. And you know that you are peace in this world. Allow this truth of your being to permeate every cell of your body as we move to a moment of silence. You are love. You are joy. And you are peace. Together, let's take a deep breath in and release. Bringing our attention back to this moment and this time, you might choose to move your fingers or your toes. Be present to this now moment and release. When you're ready, open your eyes. Yes, appropriate for our celebration of freedom that we've just had in the United States. So today is the first of a two-part series. It can be a series with just two parts that Angela and I are presenting together. Yay, Angela, for being willing. We've been collaborating together on slides and content. And so I'll get it started and then she will share. And what we're talking about, connecting to the divine, is through prayer. And in Unity, we use what we call affirmative prayer. And it's not asking for God for something, which that's how a lot of us who are raised in a more traditional environment, we're praying, we're begging, we're beseeching. I remember in Sunday school, I was so terrified to be asked to pray. Because, the traditional way is to have a salutation and a very specific request and then a closing. And I just had no confidence. And I love to pray, especially the way we do it in Unity, because we affirm regardless of circumstances, what we know to be truth. And as Astor read, everything is possibility, regardless of what we see in front of us. But by awakening to the truth that we are already something divine, that is usually a big leap for people, right? It's easy to see it in someone else. It's easy to know it in that presence and that power that we call God. But to allow ourselves, to embrace the truth of who we are. That's really, I don't want to call it a trick, but that's the key. Now, it's easy to look at a beautiful flower and say, oh, something really amazing created that. Some presence, some power. But the fact is, nature is mathematical. It's scientific. It's repeatable. So are you. You are everything that this flower is. And you can unfold, you can bloom into. Unity teaches that we pray not to God out there, but from the indwelling presence. That's why we meditate. That's why we pray from that consciousness. We want to make sure that we're connecting in. I remember one time I was praying and someone said, when you say you'll pray, then there's like, what are you doing before you start talking? I'm like, oh, I didn't, yeah, okay, yeah, I do that. I'm connecting. I'm allowing myself to feel the presence before the words move through my face. Because that is the power. The presence is the power. And it's indwelling in all of us, not just some of us. So the first principle, I like to remind you guys of the unity principles. The first one is God is absolute good, everywhere present. And when I talked about this, was it just last time I spoke, a couple weeks back, Angela said, oh, because I shared with you that my nephew said, I don't know about that. God's absolute good. It's a matter of where we put our focus. So I wanted to remind you, now it's easy when we're looking at the butterfly. We all know butterflies go into a cocoon, a messy, gooey cocoon before they come out beautiful. It happens with us as well. Nature, it's easy to see God in nature. But there's a law of polarity. So when we talk about God is good, that's where we want to put our focus on the good of God. But God, the great mystery, the presence, is in everything. And the law of polarity helps us to kind of put that in perspective. And from the Kabbalion, it's the Hermetic principles of ancient Egypt, it says everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites, like and unlike are the same. This is what I really want us to grab hold of and to know. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Opposites are identical in nature. So when we're judging something as other, we're judging ourselves, because that other, that opposite, is a degree of where we are. So anytime someone's not nice to us, we're equally potentially not nice, or they have a different perspective or point of view on something. We also have that possibility to be in that frame of mind if we're not conscious of our choices of where we put our attention. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths, and paradoxes may be reconciled. So I created this little slide to show you. Light and dark, hot and cold, love and hate. It's all the same energy. Usually if somebody says they hate something, which always kind of grates on me, but it means they love something else, but they're putting their focus on what they don't love. Now we all can do that, right? If we're not paying attention to where we put our attention, we can put our attention on what we don't want. And then what do we get? What we don't want, because that's where our attention goes. Every thought and every word is a prayer. In the Bible, it says pray without ceasing. Well, that's not like go sit and do nothing all day. It means you are already praying without ceasing. Every thought and every word is creative energy. So I like this from the Eastern traditions, the yin and yang. And we all know this symbol, right? Light and dark, it's complementary opposites, signifying seeming opposing forces are interconnected and interdependent in the natural world. Their interplay creates balance and harmony. all these things, negative and positive. Well, we know that in a battery, you get no charge without the negative and the positive. Feminine, masculine, we all are. We have feminine energy and masculine energy. And sometimes when we're caring, specifically, let's say you're caring for a child, you need to lean more into your feminine energy. If you've got to fight for something, you lean more into your masculine energy. But you're all of that. In the Tibetan tradition of the female Tara, the divine energy of that tradition, she has 33 different emanations because we have within us all of those characteristics. And even in nature, we know that things must die in the fall and winter to have rebirth in the spring. And Charles Fillmore says of this same idea of prayer, he says, when the laws of mind are understood, men know how to control the currents in their body, and by mentally moving upon words, combined with the life forces in the organism, they gain that control which Jesus Christ demonstrated. So people called it miracles, right? When he healed the woman who was hemorrhaging, all she did was touch his hem. When Lazarus came back from the dead, but they weren't miracles. They were the outworking of the law. Through his mind and his words, he affected the energy in the universe that is alive in all of us that we call God. It's present, and we have command over that. That's the truth. And prayer is the way that we see this demonstration come through. And this is taken from one of what Charles Fillmore called temple talks when he was at Unity Village. He also says the body is a very fine piece of machinery, and its oil is love. Isn't that beautiful? Its oil is love. If your joints creak, which I tell you, mine do, he says, pour freely into your consciousness the oil of love. Pour freely into your consciousness the oil of love. Love is from above. If you send a current of love through your body and environment, your liver will work right, your stomach will be healed, and you will feel the thrill of life in your very fingertips. It's energizing. It's enlivening. Love is a higher vibration than, well, obviously, worry and fear. But it's all on that same spectrum. So we have that choice. We get to choose where we put our attention. I like this image. I actually flipped it upside down because it kind of looked like the power. But, you know, it's not coming from outside of us. The love is generated from within us. Eric Butterworth says, we do not pray to God. We pray from the consciousness of God. The conscious awareness of God and the presence and the power that's everywhere all the time. That's what we choose to pray from. We can pray from any perspective. You know, worry is prayer. Putting yourself down. How many times do you look in the mirror and go, wow, there's your prayer right there. Every thought, every word. So principle 2 is, I am. God is, I am. We're all an expression of God. Everything that exists is an expression of God. Everything. Things you like, things you don't like. Things that are positive, things that are negative. Things that feel good, things that feel bad. The polarity of everything is held in the presence of God. God is all possibilities. God is all presence. This is my favorite book on prayer. The Universe is Calling, Opening to the Divine Through Prayer. In this book, Eric Butterworth says, you become aware that you are an expression of God and that God is a deeper dimension of yourself expressing as you. A deeper dimension of yourself. It's not something you find, it's already there. You are that already. What we have to do is put our attention on the truth that that is who we are. And we have to affirm it, and we have to live from it. Live our choices and live our way in the world. In Acts 17:28, it says, for in him, this is what it says, God. We know God doesn't have gender, but that's what the Bible verse says. We live and move and have our being, as even some of your own poets have said. Now, he was speaking to people in Athens. Paul, this is Paul speaking. And you know, Paul, I always say Paul's not one of my favorite, but he was prolific. So there are quotes in the Bible that are from Paul, even if I don't love it. But he said, for we too are God's offspring. We too, not offspring as in a child, but expression, these moving through us energy. And you can see it whenever you see something magnificent in nature. Nature's just the easiest way, right? It's just the easiest way to be present with all there is of God. If you slow down and if you take it in, if you give yourself a moment to do that. Eric Butterworth also says, you are an open channel through which the infinite flows. I want to edit this perspective a little bit. Yes, you're an open channel through which the infinite flows, but it's not flowing from outside of you. It's flowing from the very center of your being, through which it flows as you, as an expression of you, not that it's flowing outside of you. This is that map of consciousness I shared with you a few weeks ago. And I just want to remind you that we have a choice where we put our attention, how we want to feel. In that polarity, we can be full of shame and guilt and fear, or we can move up to acceptance and love and joy and peace by our own free will. This is what we have as a conscious human being. We have free will. Where do we put our attention? And I just love this graphic because it looks like all the colors of the chakra system running through. But again, not running through you from outside of you, running through you as you are a presence. So I'll invite Angela to come up now.
Hi, Betty. And thank you, Beverly, for this opportunity. I have a safe space to practice what I have learned. I recently took a prayer class, so I'm gonna see if I can reiterate what what I learned there. So yes, as Beverly helped us see why we have the authority to pray and that we're praying from this thing that's inside of us. So let's get into the specifics of prayer itself, because this is the way. Principle 4 says prayer and meditation is our way to increase our awareness of that is in us. And so let's talk a bit more about how we pray. And like she said before too, that prayer is not a technique for changing God, because there is nothing out there to change. It is an experience of being changed by the awareness of God. And I like that you added that bracketed part about the awareness of God, because it's not, again, an external thing that's changing you. It is your awareness of what you already are that is changing you. And so I like this from the Revealing Word that says prayer is more than supplication. It is an affirmation of truth that externally exists, but has not yet come into consciousness. It comes into consciousness not by supplication, but by affirmation. And this used to trip me up a bit when I first got into Unity, because again, the old style praying for me was very much supplication. I was begging and pleading and just kind of hoping that the guy out there would just answer my prayer. And I learned about affirmations, but honestly, affirmations at first just felt like I was kind of lying to myself. Like, I can't sit here and say, I have $1 million and then money's going to appear. This is not how it works. But I like this explanation of just like, it's something in consciousness that you can't, it's not in you yet, but you want to keep telling yourself things. And so the specific thing about having $1 million, what's behind that is my needs are met. I can feel the abundance and I can pray for those things and they can enter into my consciousness. And I like in the new book, The Discover Your Divinity, they say an affirmation is a statement of truth used as an anchor for our mind. Just as we know the sun is always shining behind a cloudy sky, we can know the truth about wholeness, abundance, and harmony while moving through illness, financial strain, and disharmony. And I really love this analogy about the cloudy sky and knowing the sun is there, because that helped me understand that when you're affirming something that you don't feel, it's not a lie. You're not lying to yourself, because when the clouds in the sky, it doesn't mean the sun's gone. It's still there. The truth is still there. Even if our external circumstances appear to be otherwise, we can remind ourselves with affirmations that there is what the truth is. And so just to sum it up, again, prayer is not asking. It is not pleading. You are just claiming what is already yours. You are claiming the truth that is there, and the affirmations help you with that. And you are not trying to reach God. There's no God out there, the external guy in the sky with the beard, which is what my view of it was when I was a kid. God is already within you. You are it, like you said, a deeper dimension of yourself. And so there's no external thing. That's why we turn within. And I love that affirmative prayer is more about a shift in consciousness. Because again, you're reminding yourself of that truth. Because usually when I'm starting to pray, I am focused on the external conditions. I'm focused on the illness or the lack or all the things. And during the prayer, there is that shift to remind you that there is abundance, there is wholeness, and there is health. And it is a tool for spiritual awakening, because everything you desire, it's already here. It may not feel like it sometimes, but it is here, and you can open yourself up to that in your awareness. And I personally find affirmative prayer to be way more empowering than my old style of praying, because that was I'm hoping that something else will do it for me. Whereas now I feel like I can have the power to change my consciousness and see my prayers answered in ways that I maybe didn't expect. So I want to walk through the unity prayer process. And we'll touch on this a little bit more too, but later. But my understanding is that there is a historical wording for the process, and then there's a newer way. I think, Jeannie, you're gonna be learning about this next week at your prayer retreat. So I'm gonna use both of the wordings for it, and I just say, whichever one you like, go for it, because they're talking about similar things. And so this is a 5-step process. And the first step is, in the old ways, or the historical way, it's called relaxation. And the new way, they call it I open. And this step is all about just releasing tension and opening yourself up to new possibilities. Because you can imagine coming to a prayer very tense, closed off, thinking that nothing can change. It's going to be really hard, much harder for the prayer to be effective, for that shift in consciousness to happen if you were closed off to that change. And so the first step is to relax, open your mind, open your heart to all the possibilities that are out there. And so you may hear when people start prayers, it's like, let's take deep breaths, let's open our hearts and minds. And this is the first step of just getting you prepared for that shift in consciousness that is coming later. And then the next step, concentration, or you can call this I recognize God. And this goes back to what Beverly was saying of God is, and we can recognize that God is, that allness, that isness, whatever you want to call it, but it is, and we are praying from that consciousness. And sometimes it can be a little hard to think about that big abstract allness. And so sometimes in prayer it's helpful to think about a specific principle. So if you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, maybe you think about the principle of peace. Or if you're having a little tension or disharmony with a loved one, you can focus on that principle of love. And so if the big idea of God is too much, you can focus this prayer on a very specific principle and come from that principle. So you take this time to concentrate on that principle and recognize that God is that principle. And then the next step, meditation, or you can call it I integrate, I am. And so you welcome this awareness of oneness. So it is, God is, and I recognize that there is no separation between that what is and what I am. And so in this oneness, you feel the allness or that very divine principle that you were focusing on before. And then once you recognize that there's no separation between this God is and I am, that's when you have this realization of, oh, I am the peace that I'm looking for. I am the love that I'm looking for. I am the divine order that I'm looking for. So the realization comes after recognizing God is, there is no separation between me and God. So therefore I am all the things I am looking for. So you're essentially activating that divine principle that you were focusing on before. And then finally is gratitude or I appreciate. And so by this point, you have had that shift in your consciousness. You are no longer thinking about the disharmony or the illness or the tension. You are now focused on you being that divine principle. And I imagine there's a sense of appreciation and gratitude for that shift in consciousness, because now you have seen the truth of what everything is. And so this is the 5 steps: relax, concentrate, recognize, integrate the I am, you realize that you are, and then you appreciate that shift. And so for me, I have to concentrate to do those steps if I want to do appropriately. But I think as you practice more, it just it flows. I think they call it a prayer flow.
They call it movements of prayer.
Movements of prayer now. Okay.
It's like spiral.
Yes, because I think this doesn't have it up on the front of their book cover. It has that fern unfurling kind of thing. So they feel it's more of a unfolding process of prayer. And I like this version of this verse from the Contemporary English Version, John 15:7, that says, "Stay joined to me and let my teachings become part of you. Then you can pray for whatever you want and your prayer will be answered." And that stay joined to me is like, remember your awareness of the God that is you, that deeper dimension of you. And the let my teachings become part of you. Again, it's about understanding that connection. There is no separation. And as you understand that, you know that you can pray for whatever you want. And in consciousness, for sure, that will happen. You can shift your consciousness to that. And I think that is it for me. And it goes back to Beverly. Woo.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes, thank you. Didn't she do a beautiful job?
Yes, she did. Thank you, Angela.
Okay, what was that? Oh, something about AI. Yeah, thank you, Angela, for that. She was really good at explaining that. And to her point, when we have that connection, which is never lost, but we bring our awareness to it, then even if your goal, your ideal is $1 million, you can have $1 million. 100% true. If you can believe that you can have $1 million. That's just getting in alignment with what you value and what's the purpose of it. If it's just to buy stuff and you have in your mind somehow that's a lesser desire, then you are putting that block between you and $1 million or perfect health or a loving relationship. It's what is it? And the only reason it might take longer to get that, whatever that bigger goal, is the belief that we hold. And so getting in touch with what is that belief that's holding me back from having that which I deserve and which is a reality for me on some dimension, on some level. That deeper dimension is where it's all true. So I love this from the Tao Te Ching. I tell you guys all the time I love to read the Tao Te Ching, the Jonathan Starr translation. It says, this is from verse 62. It's just a little excerpt at the end. Within, this is where the world's treasure has always been. The world's treasure is consciousness. It's understanding. It's outworking of the law. You guys were talking about the spiral. The Fibonacci sequence creates that spiral. It's mathematical. It repeats in nature over and over and over. This is the creative energy that we are in this world. We are that. And I don't know why, how is it that we've gotten so lost from that understanding. Why don't we affirm this to people? Why don't we, and we're going to teach you sneaky prayers in our workshop that's coming up. So you learn how to affirm and pray with people, even if they don't like prayer. Because, you know, some people like, they've had experiences, but it's all within. So where do we get in touch with that? Where do we get in touch with that $1 million? With that perfect health, with that perfect relationship, is in the silence. Because when we go into silence, we can hear that guidance. Because the $1 million wants to be in your pocket as much as you want it in your pocket. Well, that might be a big pocket. Your bank account or whatever digital form of currency that you use. It's following the guidance that's being given to you all the time. 100% of the time, whatever your heart desires, you are receiving guidance to offer you the way to that. It's what are we doing when we get the guidance? We go, oh, no, not that. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Well, it didn't look like that in my mind. We just poo-poo it out of our life. We should be embracing. So here's what the revealing word says about silence. It's a state of consciousness entered into for the purpose of putting mankind in touch with the divine mind so that the soul may listen to the still small voice. You've heard in quantum physics of the field, that field of energy that has every possibility in it. When we go into the silence, we allow ourselves to tap into that. Rumi said, out beyond the wrongdoing and the right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. Meet yourself in the field of energy that we call divine mind, and you'll find your way to whatever it is your heart desires. It says, when one goes into the silence, they enter the secret place of the Most High, the closet of prayer within. Close the door, and in the stillness of that meeting place, pray, commune with God, and meditate on truth. Then listen to what God, I put in here, source, presence, the infinite, has to share. But you have to quiet your mind and listen from your heart. You have to be willing, when you get the guidance, to follow it. And here's how it looks. I want that. Guidance is going to take me over here. This is going to take me over there. And I have to stay focused, because then it's going to take me back over here. But guess what? I'm getting a little closer every time I take a step sideways. It feels like sideways, but on that path that is never straight. Remember the unalome that I shared with you guys?
Yeah.
On that path that is never straight, you are moving progressively into those dreams, those desires. You're allowing yourself to grow in consciousness to the place where you can accept and embrace all the good that is already there for you. And Eric Butterworth said the most important part of prayer is listening. Listening. And we have to be silent to listen. In a conversation, what do? You stop talking so that you can hear the other person share. That's what you have to do with the divine mind. You have to do that with the great mystery, with the presence and the source and the power. How are we going to have this creation together? So here's an affirmation for you. I am in tune with the infinite. Let's say together. I am in tune with the infinite. And the next part of this, I listen, I trust, and I allow the divine to unfold as me. Together, I listen, I trust, and I allow the divine to unfold as me. As me in this world. So just reminder of the 5 principles. God is, I am, I think, I pray, I do. This is the secret sauce, right? God is everywhere present. I'm an expression of God. My mind creates. I can control the focus of my mind. I pray and I connect in, and then I take action. I do. It's a formula for everything that you ever wanted in your life. If you will embrace the truth of these principles, they're not specific to unity. Every world religion expresses them in some way.
So does the mental health world.
Yes, and the mental health world.
is very same.
Exactly, because they've learned over time, they've integrated what used to be a separate science, but now Ken Wilber, integral. So for your homework, I'm going to invite Angela to come back up because this was her idea. She wanted to sign it to you.
Yes, so you can blame me for this one. But as part of the prayer class I took, they encouraged us to call silent unity. And I know every week, Beverly, Jeannie, Russ, you all say, silent unity is there. And I have never, ever called until I took this class. And it was a wonderful experience. And so I encourage, if you have not called before, to give them a call. I will say, it took me 2 calls to get someone, but try to get a person and not just the recording that they have. Try to get a real human. And at the end, they should ask you if you would like your prayer sent to you. I think, Pam, you were saying they do that. So I encourage you to ask for either the letter or the email. The email will come quicker. And as you read your prayer, see if you can see the flow, the prayer movements that they perhaps went through the affirmative prayer process. So that is the assignment for the week, or part of the assignment. I believe the other ones, do you want to go through these?
No, you go ahead.
All right. So again, like we were talking about, it's tuning in when you go into your prayers, and then the ask, claiming what you want, but you have to be silent and listen for the guidance for how you get back to that. And then the easy part, receive it. Just receive it.
It's easy though.
That's
Ah.
always.
Thank you, Angela. So you got your assignment from Miss Angela. So we want to thank you for being here today and thank Angela for stepping up. Yay! You two do a beautiful job. I mean, you're a natural. You're just a natural. So this is our opportunity to give. And we say opportunity to give because giving and receiving are the same energy. Think of it like a figure 8, this eternal flow, giving and receiving. So whatever it is that you have to give today, hold it in your hands, and you can mail it in if you're not here with us. You can pay online with you can just point your phone at that and capture that. What's it called? A QR code, and it'll take you straight to the PayPal. But this is, we're a volunteer community, and this is how we, rent the space and do the things that we do. So we really appreciate all that you have to offer and all the ways in which you give.